Hello, hello. Let me plug in my mic. Where's that plug in? Always something. At least I noticed, huh? How's everybody doing today? Sorry about that. I knew I was coming on before I'm ready because honestly, it's like I'll never be ready. I just need to face the facts. How is the set? How's my hair? I had a hat. Where did it go? Where's my hat? It's on the floor. Okay. Dang it, Nancy. Where are you? Okay. I'm excited to come on today. I am devastated at some of the crazy crap that's going on. And I just can't believe the crazy crap that I dug up yesterday accidentally. Anna Bees, did you see my thumbnail? Jorn Vandersloot's lawyer was Trumpster Fire's lawyer for a long time. And the guy, Joe Tacopina, fired Trump, I think this past January of 2025. I'd have to check. It could have been 2024, but I'm pretty sure it was 2025. Let's just Google that real quick. How are you, my dear? Is this so crazy? Like, you can't make this crap up. When did Joe Tacopina quit working for Donald Trump? Okay, it was January 2024. Oh, and this is what it says. I read this before, and we got Reuters. Sorry, we got ABC News. Forbes has an article about all the Trump lawyers who have quit, and that was from last January. CNBC, Trump loses attorney as porn star hush money trial looms. Again, this is January 15th of 2024. So he withdraws himself from all of Donnie's cases. Joe Tacopina is not the most reputable defense attorney, in my opinion. He represented Jorn Vandersloot. Anna B says, I just woke up from working last night. I must have known you were coming on. Oh, you're so sweet, my dear. Nice to see you. So, yeah, I've been up for a few hours. All kinds of crazy going on at my house. And what about the freaking lights? I have told you guys, sometimes I just want to get rid of everything because it's just so much to manage. But I do like it. Okay. The makeup's okay. The lighting's okay. The hair's okay. The sound is okay. The dumpster fire that I have that I call my set, that I keep trying to minimalize it, and then I can't completely minimalize it because I'm like, I gotta have that in there. I gotta have that in there. Oh, that's like, ugh. Let's see. Let's just do it like that. All right. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. Please hit your like button. Where's that thing? Subscribe if you're not subscribed, or make sure that you still are. If you are, indeed, they're opposite day. Okay. Share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like my channel. Turn on your notification bell to ring. There, I did it all. And then what in the world is this stupid? Oh, it's one of these. See, all of these, the angles are so weird. You can't even figure out the angles of this crap. That's one of the things that's so frustrating. Should I just take this out? Get out. Get out, you stupid thing. Okay. Everything looks perfect and sounds perfect. You're so nice. You're the best. So I have a dog bed next to me too. But I have more space opened up for my yoga. I think I'm getting it, 3 years in, maybe I should just give up. I just can't believe this crap. So, I'm looking at Carlos and Charlie's last night, because in my video the day before yesterday, I mentioned in Amy Bradley's disappearance case from 1998 that Carlos and Charlie's tied into her case, and I couldn't remember exactly how. So it's the same Carlos and Charlie's. It is a chain. There's one in Vegas, of course, and I think several in Mexico, but the one in Alcapulco is the one in Amy Bradley's disappearance from the cruise ship, that the staff were looking for her. And they asked her family, "Where's Amy?" When she went to the bathroom or something. They were panicked. They're like, "Where's Amy?" And they were like, "Oh, she'll be back. Why?" And they said, "Well, we want to take her to Carlos and Charlie's on shore." And so when Amy came back to sit with her family, this was at dinner, this was the last time they hung out with her, they told her, they said, "The staff came by, they want to take you out to a restaurant and bar called Carlos and Charlie's in Alcapulco." And she was 23 years old. She just graduated college. I accidentally said high school, but I said 23 years old, just graduated high school. Just 5 years behind. No, anyway, she just graduated college and she was really excited about her life, taking this cruise with her family. But she was gay too. I can't remember if I mentioned that the day before yesterday. So, she's got really short hair. She's really spunky and full of life and a lot of confidence. She looks stunning in this black spaghetti strap dress for the formal dinner on the cruise ship. And she was a badass. She liked to smoke and drink her beer. And the staff were like, "Where'd Amy go? Where's Amy?" So when her family told her that, she was like, "That's really creepy. I wouldn't go anywhere with them. That's crazy." And so she went missing, I think, before 6 the next morning. I think at some point she was in her bed in the cabin around 5 in the morning. And then her dad figured she went to get coffee because she didn't put on her shoes. And the only thing she took with her was her cigarettes and lighter. So he thought she probably went to get coffee. And then he started to panic when he couldn't find her after half an hour or an hour. So anyway, back to the Carlos and Charlie's. When I read about Carlos and Charlie's in Aruba in that Amy Bradley situation, after watching the Netflix series about her, I was like, is that the same place where Natalie Halloway was last seen? And I quickly Googled, where was the last place Natalie Halloway was last seen with Goran Vandersloot and those disgusting Calpo brothers? And it was Carlos and Charlie's in Alcapulco. So that got me brain running wild with conspiracy theories that Carlos and Charlie's is part of the, shall we just say, transportation system for the black market for humans. We got to watch out for that other word. Transportation is one that Kirby Summers uses, and I think that's brilliant. In fact, I made a comment on one of BoobTube's posts last night or this morning, and I used the other word for transportation, and my comment didn't show up. Wow, right? Interesting. So yeah, then I looked up, well, how many other Carlos and Charlie's are there? And it looked like there's quite a few. And it was opened by a couple of guys named Carlos and Charlie's. In 1991, Carlos passed away in an airplane accident. Also in 1991 is when the Taj Mahal was, by its owner, Trumpster Fire, filed for bankruptcy in 1991 for the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. I'm not saying that they're related. It's just same year, 1991. And those 3 VPs of his buddies, his high-level executives that passed away on that helicopter that he lied and said he should have been on He was going to be on it. Well, no, he wasn't. He just wanted the attention. He's an attention whore. Anyway, that was, I think, at the very tail end of 89. And then it was 1990 when Ivana was going to take a trip to, I'm trying to remember where she was taking the trip. It might have been Alcapulco. I'll have to check. She was getting ready to take a trip with one of the VP's wives, and I didn't tell you exactly which one. And then that's when she was assaulted on her bed by her estranged husband, allegedly. So crap is really, really blowing up with this whole Trumpstein files, shall we call it? That's a new word. Let's do the hashtag Trumpstein, right? But let me see the names of those 3 people that passed away. And I'm not the only crazy MF out here that thinks that it's a possibility that that 8.8 earthquake a few days ago could have been man-made. I thought I was just being a crazy theorist of some sort. And then I try to look into it and see that there's a bunch of other people way ahead of me. Doesn't mean that it's true or not true. I think it's possible. But what's not possible is the reports from USSR, former USSR, of how many people passed away in that 8.8 Richter scale. Just trying to find the names of, dang it. I can't stand it when I have so many freaking notebooks, you know. I try to just have one, but then I filled this one up, and then I went to the next one, and then I keep having to pull this one out to look stuff up, people's names. It's not that important, but it is good to know people's names, and I'm going to try to slow down. I'm all amped up. Like, you can't keep up with this crap, and that's the point. That's how they play it. Am I just not going to find the names of these? Here it is. Is that it? I think this is it. Man, you just can't keep up. I can't. Like, seriously, sometimes I just feel like giving up. I'm just like, why do I make myself crazy like this? I don't need any help. I'm already crazy. And here's the names, like right under my feet. Mark Edis is the one whose wife was going to travel with Ivana. And it was Indonesia is where they were traveling to. So she was packing for her trip with Mark Edis's wife, and then to help her recover from losing her husband in this horrible helicopter crash. So I shouldn't waste my time trying to find out the other 2 VPs that were in that helicopter crash, because, like I said, there's just too many details. And then when I jump from one freaking notebook to the next, it's really hard to find stuff already. And it just makes it that much harder. So another person that went missing in a similar fashion to Amy Bradley and Natalie Halloway that I started to mention, and I don't think I did the day before yesterday, that's Taylor Casey, who went on that yoga retreat in the Bahamas about a year ago. We just passed the 20-year anniversary of when Natalie Halloway went missing. All this time, I honestly believed that Natalie Halloway was deceased, But all of the sudden, with the Amy Bradley and the Carlos and Charlies and all of this transporting, and the Trumpstein Island and Lolita Express. Now I'm wondering if Natalie Halloway might have been bought and sold, and she might even still be alive. I mean, it's all kind of like the Truckee Mafia and even Kylie Rodney. Unbelievable. So Amy Bradley went missing in 1998. Maybe they did take her to Carlos and Charlie's when they kidnapped her off of the cruise. Natalie Halloway was kidnapped too. On her initial missing posters, it said kidnapped. Then they changed it to missing. But they knew she was kidnapped. Her friends saw her in a car with the two Calpro brothers and little douchebag, spoiled brat kid, Joran Vandersloot, driving away. And it sounded like they roofied her, like the way she was acting in the car. And then nobody ever saw her again. And that was the day before they were flying home back to Alabama. So we know that Virginia Giuffre's brothers and sister-in-laws, two brothers, two sister-in-laws, have come forward and been interviewed, and they're very demure and speaking out about the loss of their sister, Virginia, who passed away not even 4 months ago. It'll be 4 months at the end of this month, because it was April 24th or 25th. I think they think that she passed away on the 24th, but they found her on the 25th. So her brothers, I think their names are Danielle, and Sky. And then their wives are just doing a really good job speaking publicly together as a team in efforts to honor their sister. Sorry for the barking dog. Should I let them in? I'm just going to try to stay focused and calm down. It's just so freaking tragic. It's so freaking tragic. Also, the floods of Texas, Kerrville, Texas, Kerr County, the Guadalupe River. And we know that there have been hearings in Texas about those responsible for public safety in that area. And ultimately it falls on the mayor. Is it the mayor and the judge? I think I just wrote it down. I think it's one of the last things I wrote down. Yeah, the judge or the mayor of the county are the only two that can issue evacuation orders. So sure, anybody could say, well, we need to evacuate even without the official order, but then you could be screwing up. You don't know for sure that that's the right thing to do, and you could be making the problem even worse. So I wouldn't recommend it. What is that? That is not supposed to be showing. That's falling over there. Much better. Okay. Anna B's, Billy, darling. Oh my goodness. See what happens when I don't keep up with you guys? I didn't even know that Billy came in, and look at you guys are just like chatting away. I knew I fell a little bit behind, but let me catch up real quick. Thank goodness we survived the tsunami. I know, like, I question everything these days. Like, were they hoping that there were going to be a bunch of tsunamis? Nice big distraction. I mean, that earthquake, 8.8, usually will take out about 100,000 or 200,000. Russia is reporting 0 fatalities and basically $0 damage. Except now it's looking like it might have busted up their nuclear facility or something. Like we can trust Russia about as much as we can trust the Trumpstein files. I saw that ABC put out how the footage from Little E's cell was doctored. Yep. And that big orange blob that floats across the screen, we all know a big orange blob, don't we? 3 minutes, exactly. First it was 1 minute, and then they went on with this big fat lie about how nobody's updated the system in 25 years, and there's always a minute missing every day since Y2K, because it's just the oldest system in the world. And we'll show you every minute of every day from the last 25 years how it's missing. And no, it's 3 minutes. And these boneheads, like edited with Adobe. For that, we can thank them. I'm so glad you survived. I know. Seriously. Poorly doctored too, almost as if they suck at crimes. Well, it's almost like Kash Patel doctored it himself, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly, rather than like, you know, the problem with trying to hire an expert is you have to hire a corrupt expert, or you have to hire them and then have them Karen Silkwooded, have them Epsteined. And these people don't give a crap about anybody's life other than their own. I don't even think they really care about their families, to be perfectly honest. I mean, if you did, you might not allow your wife to fall down, your ex-wife, the mother of 3 of your children, to fall down a flight of stairs the day before your big scary depositions are starting. Just my opinion, right? Oh man, and the censors are coming out swinging. Melania, Trumpstein files, they're just going after everybody, big and small. Yeah, I want a piece of me. Let me at him. Like the Cowardly Lion in the Wizard of Oz. We got less than 1 foot over high tide levels here in the Bay. Thank goodness. Yeah. We were worried at first, and no early warning alerts. Right. Well, I'm almost thinking that they're going to try again and call it an aftershock. It'll be like a 10 on the Richter scale. I sure hope not. We don't need any of this crap. What we need is the criminals deported and put in prison, just the way Trumpstein files is always talking about the grapists, the red rummers. Like, who's the grapist and the red rummers? You're projecting, dude. Confession and projection, in my opinion. I'm going to lose my channel, aren't I? Things we're worried. The no early warning alerts there in the Bay Area, but then also going back to a couple of months ago, or no, I guess it was just 1 month ago. It seems like forever ago, in Kerr County, Texas. So they had early warnings on July 2nd at other, not Kerr County, but the county just south of Kerr County called Kendall County. I wonder if Kendall County is where the Rainmaker did their cloud seeding. And I want to stay caught up with you guys, but let me look at that real quick. Where did the Rainmaker cloud seed south of Kerr County on July 2nd? Rainmaker's last cloud seeding operation before the July 2025 Texas floods occurred on July 2nd in Runge, Texas, which is located about 125 miles southeast of Kerr. Interesting. During the operation, 2 small clouds were seeded and dissipated within a couple of hours. Rainmaker suspended its operations the same day due to unusually high moisture content in the atmosphere. Well, why were they cloud seeding if usually high content in the atmosphere? I'm wondering if Runge, Texas is Kendall County. Let me ask my AI. Texas in Kendall County. Karnes County. I'm going to write that down. And then I'm going to get caught up with you guys. Karnes. Sorry for falling behind, folks. Right, Billy, darling. About the poorly doctored. We got less. Okay. We were worried at first, no early warnings. Where did it go? Orange Pom-Pom defunded the alert systems with dodgy. Right, Billy. Let me highlight that one. And then the person who was like the most in charge of that system in Kerr County was sick on July 2nd, and then they stayed sick. And so there was nobody doing his job. I bet he was still getting his freaking paycheck. Like, I can't help but wonder if it's orchestrated. I can't help but wonder. Or if it's just the perfect storm, no pun intended. But little kids losing their lives. Let me get caught up and then I'll let the dog in. I figured as much, Billy. How can half the country not see all this? I think that they are seeing it. I do. Hey, Coco. Same in Texas, 0 alerts. They don't want to look. That's why. Hey, Jazzy, Billy, darling. 8.0 to 8.7 to 8.8. Make up mind. Ruskies. Yeah. And again, we can't trust anything they say anyway. But yeah, I heard 8.7 to 8.8 and 0 fatalities. Although somewhere I saw 1,800 fatalities. But looking at all the other earthquakes at that magnitude, which is extraordinarily rare to have anywhere close to that magnitude. Worldwide, I'm going to guess maybe once every 20 years. I did a lot of research and I took notes, but it's kind of hard to find the statistics that you're looking for. But normally that size of earthquake on the Richter scale that measures that high is closer to roughly 100,000 souls lost. OMG, like the cursor in the jail cam release, WTF. BoobTube, hello, my dear. I was talking about you earlier. Were your ears burning? Right, the cursor, hey. And hello, Miss Anna. Hello, my darling Billy. You have to been spitting some facts. I love it. Yes, me too. I got to tell you guys, my spacers and my teeth are making me lisp and they're really bothering me. It's Friday. I'm supposedly going to get them out on Monday, but then I'll have braces, which will probably be even worse. But someday I'll have straight teeth, so that's exciting. But man, they hurt. They didn't hurt at first. It's like over time, they're hurting more. It's like they're sore and they're tired. I thought I'd get more used to it and that it would like be less annoying, but instead it's more annoying. Let's see. Few know that NEXRAD Doppler can also be used to direct storms. They aren't just radar. BoobTube, you're killing me. You are too scientifically advanced for me brain, me simpleton. That is wild. I believe you because I trust you. If it was Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that, I'd be like, yeah, right. But Doppler can be used to direct storms? Well, yeah, especially if they're sending in the drones with the cloud seeding materials, right? Because you don't even have to do it with an airplane anymore. You can just do it by drone. Oh, shoot, you were roboting for a second, at least for me. Sure, I'll be roboting some more. Hopefully, I'll keep this stream going. Keep my channel going. Thank you, Anna. Had a fire in my belly about that one. I felt that. BT, trust me, I toned it down a bit. Oh, that's great. BT, that's funny. Let me highlight that one. And then I know where I'm at. To more simulcrum for our simulation. More simulcrum for our simulation. Olaf Redfield could not chat. Had to zoom out of screen. Exactly, Billy. Hey, Fred. Hey, Fred. Cray Cray. Hey, Fred. No burning ears. Patricia Moss, too. Hi, everyone. Look, we're all here. Grab your coffee, grab your tea, your water, your champagne, whatever it is that relaxes you. And we'll get to the nuts and bolts of the cray cray. Coco. She doesn't like cray cray. She went to the door. She's like, that's it. I'm out of here. You're talking crazy talk. Get me out. I can send you documents, Jazz. Just let me know. And yes, sulfuric dioxide via stratospheric aerosol injection. Sure, you are more than welcome to share the documents with me. And I'm not saying that I will comprehend them, but I did forward one of your emails to Anna B's yesterday. So you guys should be able to email directly between each other. I have my Pepsi. I know I'm bad, LOL. Well, at least it's not Coca-Cola. Speaking of which, let me just say real quick that when people do this on screen in an interview and they don't say, excuse me, and wipe their nose or something, I don't necessarily think it's rude. I think it's rude when I do it. But when somebody like Trumpstein Files does it, I wonder if he's not snorting some of that Pepsi Cola stuff, you know, the other one that's not Pepsi. So yeah, I just sent one email of one of yours to one of you, Anna and BT. I didn't send them both directions. So you'll have to, whoever I sent it to, I think it was a BT to an Anna B, but it might have been an Anna B to a BT. It was whatever you guys said to do. I get so confused. My brain gets all cattywampus, turned upside down. And it was one of those. So I thought about sending each, but I was like, well, I was only instructed to do this. I don't want to overstep my bounds. Like son, like father. Yeah, with the sniff. Right. Or the gums. Remember when he was like scratching his gums constantly? That was a weird day. Thank you, Jazz. Cool. Did you get it? Snort, snort. Okay. So I keep learning more about Bear Stearns in the 2008 crisis, right? There was a bunch of companies involved in that. Of course, it wasn't just Bear Stearns. It was a whole bunch. And what was one of the bigger companies? I know I wrote it down. Too many pages. Just give me a second. Sorry. My apologies. Bear Stearns. What's the other big one? I mean, we know it was all of the banks. Here it is. I think. No, that's not it. Am I writing things down in the wrong places or something? I wonder. Let me look at this notebook. Again, I apologize. I guess I really shouldn't come on until I'm ready, huh? I know that I wrote it down. So back to the thing with the attorney with Tacopina. Why would a Norwegian national on a Dutch island hire an American attorney? I don't know. These dirt bags, man. Absolute dirt bags. There's just too many pages. I'm just like filling way too many pages. What was the other big company with the 08 that it started with an S? We got Bear Stearns Crisis, and then we got the economic crisis of 08. Economic crisis of 08. I cannot think when I'm live. So Bear Stearns was the company that Little E worked for. So he had a lot of hands-on direct involvement in screwing up our economy leading up to 08. And then 08, we all know it was like Chase and Washington Mutual. But there was another company, not Bear Stearns, but had that S. And let me just look at my stupid freaking notebooks. I only have Bear Stearns written down there. You guys know the company is like a really big one. Here, I'll ask artificial intelligence to tell me. What was the really big mortgage company that caused the economic crash of 08? Well, Lehman Brothers was huge. Goldman Sachs. Thank you. My mod is watching. Goldman Sachs. What the F is wrong with my pen and my brain? That's exactly what it was. Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, and Bear Stearns. So what do you think Donnie was doing during the economic crisis of 08? The whole freaking kit and caboodle revolved around mortgages that were inflated, basically fraud, basically the exact same thing that Donnie has been convicted of 34 felonies for. Like, I don't know. Do you think he might have had any involvement in that whole 08 thing that Jeffrey had so much involvement in and that all these people had so much involvement in? I wonder what Scott Bissent was doing in 08. Note to self. Here, let's just ask Google real quick. I go nuts with the Google, don't I? What was Scott Bissent doing in 2008? And then all the other guys too, right? Like Nutlick, Scott Bessent in '08. Because he's our chief financial officer for the U.S. government now. He's had ties to Obama and Clinton. Okay, he worked for Key Square Capital Management, a global hedge fund. Interesting. Because, yeah, it was all the hedge funds. Interesting. Key Square Capital Management. Got to do more research on that, huh? Oh, and happy Tariff Day, you guys. August 1st. So exciting, isn't it? Let's see. Where did we leave off? Oh, you guys are just running with it. You're cracking me up. I am going to stay focused with you because that's why I'm here, is to hang out with you guys. So we got 246 was the last one that I highlighted, but I was way ahead of that. He's on HRT with them Tig of Biddies too. Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, Don Jr. has a much bigger chest than his fiance. And he posted a picture of himself with her, really showing it off. He even looked like he was excited or cold, the way the ladies get when they're excited or cold and their t-shirt's a little see-through. And then she was slamming on him in his comment section. These people are just so effing weird. Like, could we just have a real government, please? And he's talking about running for the effing office. Don Jr., I am going to vomit like 20,000 times. Beautiful ocean is 1 mile away for Patricia Moss. The town was texting one another, a bit scared. That night found out we don't have a sound horn or something to warn us. Chase, perhaps. Yeah, it was. Well, Chase was heavily involved. Washington Mutual. Bear Stearns was leading up to it. So Bear Stearns stuff wasn't in '08, but it was like in '07. It was like the precursor to '08. And then it was that Goldman Sachs that my, thank you for texting me that, my mod, Tacopina. And yeah, is it so weird that Donnie's old attorney, the one that represented him against E. Jean Carroll and against Stormy Daniels, Joe Tacopina, like, you can't make this stuff up. So he's the one that represented Joran Vandersloot, Joe Tacopina, and then he withdrew from Donnie's list of attorneys that Donnie could ever hire last January of 2024 in relationship to some of the documents that dropped for I think it was the Stormy Daniels case. It was, if not Stormy Daniels, it was one just like it. Let's see. Okay, we just can't keep up with this news cycle. We just can't. And that's the idea. That is exactly the idea. So all we need to do is stay focused on the little kids that Trumpstein files keep re-victimizing them and their families again and again. And he should be put in jail, right? I mean, not to mention all of the stuff that could be considered to be reason with a T in front of it, right? I mean, you can't joke around about reason with a T in front of it either, because of the penalty for that is so extreme. You just can't joke around about that stuff. And I'm not joking. I mean, colluding with the enemy, doing anything to destabilize the safety of our own country, doing anything to destabilize the election process in our own country. that is getting closer and closer to mainstream media news, you guys. It is flying in the face of all of us right now. The discovery of the election fraud, not just with 2024. You know, Democrats don't want to admit that there could have been any election fraud because of all the crap with 2020 and January 6th and all that. But we have to be real. We're not going to be able to get past the problem if we can't even identify the problem. You know, remember, once you start talking about a problem, it's not a problem anymore, then you're on to the solution. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. I'll quit talking in cliches and stay caught up with my people. Let's see. I'm glad you guys are all good on the shore. I call them taco tits. That's funny. Yeah, you're reminding me of the I've Had It channel, and those girls crack me up with titty baby, taco tits, all kinds of great stuff. Tacopina, I know, it's for real. That's his last name, Joe Tacopina. Come on. And, you know, he got Joran Vandersloot off scot-free. He was not able to protect Donnie so well from the E. Jean Carroll case or the Stormy Daniels case. Maybe that's why he quit, because he was losing and it was bad for his reputation. Junior has bigger bosom than his new girlfriend. Well, and probably a bigger bosom than his daddy, too, because his daddy, he could use a man bra. I mean, we've all seen that out on the golf course. BoobTube says, I know I'm mean. Patricia, that's scary. I'm glad you're okay. Lehman Brothers, Taco, Palin, pain in the ass. Thanks. You're welcome, Patricia. Billy, for sure he does. So, MASC alpha. So much like masculinity alpha. Is that what you're saying, Billy, darling? I'll highlight that one. I'm not sure what the MASC is supposed to be. Where did get all his money, huh? Right. Billy, darling, we can answer that. I have a pretty good guess where little E got all of his money. A lot of it was selling illegal, let's just call it defense stuff to Israel. But he was an operative, an asset for that country, for the one who is two words with the initials SA, also ends with an A. Saudi, you know the rest of it. And then he was also an asset for what was previously the USSR. And then people also say that he worked for the CIA, which it sounds more than likely that he did. So he had money coming at him from all directions, but he also had been given the golden key from Leslie Wex in Ohio. He'd been given full access to every penny that Leslie owned early on in their relationship. When Leslie poached him from Bearsteins, am I saying that right? It's like Bernstein Bears. And yeah, a lot of money, too much money. Bear Stearns, Bearstein Bears. There we go. So little E, Trumpstein Files was poached from Bear Stearns by Leslie. Maybe in like the early 90s or something. I don't know the exact date, but I don't think the L-brands had been around too long before the 80s, maybe the late 70s. Anyway, Les was making a lot of money in the 80s, and then I think, in my opinion, he fell in love with little E, but he gave him full access to every penny that he owned. And so essentially, little E could invest his money. He could spend the big boss's money. He could literally pretend it was his own money. And that same guy is the one who essentially gave him that townhouse in Manhattan. And I'm sure had everything to do with purchasing the islands down there in the Virgin Islands. I mean, there's such a bromance with all of this MAGA crap. When you look at like J.D. Vance and his sugar daddy. So basically, Leslie was Little E's sugar daddy. So who's Little T's sugar daddy? I don't know, but he certainly seemed to have a bromance with Little E. Maybe Little E was his sugar daddy, because I think Little E was more financially solvent than Little T. And so that was like their cover story for their falling out, was that they both wanted to buy that mansion down in Palm Beach that was roughly $40 million. And Little E thought that he was going to be purchasing it. And then Little T made a higher bid and purchased it out from underneath him. But Little E knew Little T's finances like the back of his hand. So he knew he didn't have the money, but both of them were, you know, cleaning money for these countries that I mentioned previously. And so was the guy in Ohio named Leslie. That's all of it. It's all the washing the blood off the cash, so to speak. Anyway, I'm staying caught up. I am. So there was that question, and I just went nuts with it, didn't I? I'm like 14 minutes behind on the chat. So let's buckle down. Billy, he will be getting a boob reduction next. Junior is the Koch brothers. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with the Koch brothers, Billy darling. I know, sorry, I keep calling you Billy darling. I know that you're super familiar with these things. Peter needs to get off my planet. Ugh, I know. He's so gross. Peter Thiel is, he's a planet wrecker. You know, like how you call people home wreckers. He's just a freaking planet wrecker. Where did that go? Okay. Countrywide home loans and Bank of America got in some deep trouble too. They all did. And it all revolved around real estate. And look at what Donnie is still revolving his life around real estate. I'm so sick of the oligarchs. FFS. I know. Billy is so smart about that stuff. Me too. Me three. Remember back in the day, you and your teenage friends would have to call the library in order to settle an argument. Or if you were lucky enough to have the Encyclopedia Britannica, you could scour over that for a few hours. You could try talking to your grandparents. But yeah, you definitely had to make some phone calls. And it might take 2 weeks. I know. That's why I love the Google A so much. I love it, love it, love it. When I was in graduate school, you had to go look at microfiche film. I'd go on campus to one of the universities in San Francisco to look up journal articles, like medical journal articles, to write my papers. It was ridiculous. It took so much time just to get to the place. Then you had to pay for parking, and then your freaking meter might expire. Your car could get towed. It was just a hot mess. I miss the library, Patricia. Oh, the library days. Patricia, I miss Kamala and Tim too. Well, if they ever get to the bottom of this election fraud, maybe something might happen with those two. Like Kamala announcing that she's not going to run for what? Governor of California? That almost seemed like indicative of something, maybe. Don't mind at all when Jazzy looks things up. Oh, you're so sweet. I just don't like the dead air time. It's something I'm very self-conscious about, but it probably bothers me more than anybody else. Nothing better than the smell of a real book, unless it's fettuccine Alfredo and fresh breadsticks. Well, with garlic, right? You need garlic in the Alfredo and the breadsticks. Yeah, nothing smells better than fresh baked bread, huh? Except maybe basil. I love me some basil. True that they're trying to gerrymander Texas before the midterms. Yeah, we need to get back to talking about Texas too, with the cloud seeding, the flood. If the cloud seeding had anything to do with that, and if that had any intentionality to it, I don't think we'll ever find out. Like, it's too big of a crime against humanity. Never heard of I've Had It channel. Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it. Do they present real documents? So many don't, and it's frustrating. They are rock solid. I've Had It is absolutely rock solid. It's a couple of real housewives from Oklahoma, I think is where they both got their start. And they're like best friends. I think one of their names is Jennifer. Jennifer might be the one that goes by Pumps, or the other one. But they're both around my age, and they're both just like sassy as AF. And yeah, they only deal in real reality. And they're from Oklahoma, but man, they do not appreciate the Trumpster fire one little bit. And they're very very much not like the rest of Oklahoma. Very well educated, and they talk about titty babies all the time. That's kind of their thing, and that's what they call people like Vance and Trumpster fire. Biggest titty baby I've ever seen in my life. It's so funny. It's so funny. I mean, I'm all about the breastfeeding, but man, it cracks me up. BT, I love fettuccine and breadsticks. You turned me on to I've Had It. Thanks. Oh, good. Yeah, they're so smart. And there's some other channels that I'm discovering like every day. There's one called Jill Dalton. She's just one person with one little channel, not that much bigger than mine, but it's been around forever. She's like an actress and a stand-up comic. And her most recent video, I think it's probably still her most recent video, she doesn't drop that many that often, is called What is Donald Trump Doing in My Dressing Room? I put a link to it in one of my videos like a few days ago, one of my last two videos. In the description, I put a link to it, but I forgot to talk about it with you guys. And Jill Dalton, she's a New Yorker, and she just gets straight to the point. She's not making anything up. You can tell when people aren't making anything up because it's not like all salacious and over the top and just oozing with, whatever. It's just like kind of goofy. So yeah, I highly recommend Jill Dalton. And like I said, there's a couple others that I've just discovered recently. Harry Sisson, Sisson, I think is how you spell his name. He's like 23 years old. He just graduated college. He's killing it. He is killing it. Really appreciate these people that are out there telling their truth. And I love it when I find channels that are new to me that are doing such an amazing job. And it's just like, man, how did I miss this? How come I haven't found it yet? I love fettuccine and breadsticks. All right. Ruski. You're just reminding me of like the Brewski Brews from the Barbie movie. And what does Ken do really well? Or what does he do for a living? He beach. I beach. That's what I do. I beach. And I want a brewski brew. You got a brewski brew? Let's beach. Two women talking about the headlines. Yeah, and sometimes it's just one of them. They really play well off of each other, but they also hold their own when they're solo, when they're flying solo. Triple double sided type guy, little E was. Well, I definitely think that he was bi. I think that him and Leslie had a thing. It really seems to me that him and Dear Leader had a thing. So their cover story about how they had their falling out over that business venture, I think is just that. I think it's a cover story. And maybe they had a falling out over little E stealing Dear Leader's slaves, right? His young female slaves that little E was poaching, stealing, however he wants to say it. I mean, the whole slavery thing is very real with this MAGA movement and with the Project 2025 and with the um, alligator Alcatraz. It's really heading back towards slavery. Like that's super real. It's part of the motivation. It's part of the plan. It's definitely where it's headed. You know, taking people's jobs away, deporting all of the people that do all the really hard labor, and then when you'll allow them to go pick some cotton in the field. I mean, we're talking slave labor. Um, let's see. Anna, they say honey is the nectar of God. I disagree. It's definitely Alfredo sauce. Can't convince me otherwise. Well, let me just tell you something really glorious and happy. I had a hummingbird fly right in front of my front living room window a couple of days ago while I was sitting right there in the couch right by the window. So it was just a couple feet away from me. And there some what do they call those, lady slipper flowers, I think were blossoming, the really tall ones that are pink. I think they're called lady slippers. And one was like really close to the window, and the hummingbird came to look for some nectar in there, and I just felt so fortunate. I did not get a picture. I was wanting to so I could put up a community post with it. Did DT move? Where did that go? Fred's having trouble with. Did DT move nuke subs closer to Russia, or did I imagine what I thought of hearing? Fred Field, what kind of question is that? That's a magnificent question, because the big earthquake over there may have had an issue with some of their nuclear stuff. And yeah, I don't think we can trust anything right now. Dear Lord, Fred, I hope not. Maybe you're psychic, Fred. Well, I'm thinking that you did hear it, but yeah, you might be psychic. Haven't they all looked into occult origins of the term MAGA? Smack my head. So somebody brought that up on a live that I was watching. I think it was Hal Sparks on his live, and it was a little bit different. It wasn't MAGA. It was like MAGOT or something like that. And I looked it up. It was like the the priest and the priestess, not necessarily of Titanic type of stuff, I don't think, but of what do you want to call it? Mystical type of stuff that I think can be Titanic. Did I imagine hearing that DT moved nuke subs closer to Russia today? Today, Fred says. But yeah, I think it's no small coincidence that it's very close to MAGA. And it's kind of like the Doge, and how DOGE is actually like the highest office in military that is the highest office of all offices, right? And man, did that Doge tank us. We continue to find out how much damage it did. I mean, we knew it while it was happening. We knew it before it started to happen, but it's like probably worse than we'll ever know. I'll look into it, Fred. Thanks, Fred. Do you have your chat set to all messages? Couch Brothers, as Petro guys pronounce Coke. Okay. We all know what Little E did with those wealthy men to start off with money, please. Well, he had a lot of. I'll just say it straight up, even though he's a disgusting piece of crap. He had a lot of mojo. He had a lot of Jununushushwe. I can't even say it. You know what I mean? He had it going on. Little E did. He was suave, like Rico Suave. And I think that applied to men and women. It's very likely, in my opinion, why Donald Barr hired him at Dalton School was because of the Rex appeal. And who knows what he did to get that job, since none of his references were checked, right? BT, I didn't know that about the occult stuff. Absolutely, Patricia. Well, and it really reminded me of, like, remember in Kylie Rodney's case, which we are coming up on our 3-year anniversary of that tragedy. Her mother had just achieved like the highest priestess status in their quote unquote church. Like, that's really creepy AF, because I would imagine you have to make a sacrifice if that's what I think it is. But this whole thing with Amy Bradley, Natalie Halloway, Amy Bradley was definitely kidnapped and sold, transported. It's always been a question with Halloway. In my mind, it's always been a question with Kylie Rodney, too. So Amy Bradley's been missing since 1998, so almost 30 years, 27 years. And she was still alive, I believe, a few years ago. There's been sightings of her over the years. And it just really hit home how easy it would be for Natalie Halloway to still be alive, despite what Yoron has confessed to, like 12,000 different stories. And that, the best way to transport somebody is to fake that they're not alive anymore, so that no one's looking for them. And it would also explain in Kylie Rodney's case why all the goofy pictures of her, and why so few pictures of her, and why such a small amount of any video footage of her. If they don't want people to be able to ID her, and they don't want, like computers that do the facial recognition to ID her. But then they just do plastic surgery too. And then Casey Taylor, I think it's Taylor Casey, the one that went missing from the Bahamas, from Chicago, that was trans. And she could easily be alive. The story with her was that she was kind of being stalked by a couple of guys that looked almost like FBI agents, with their like black t-shirts, black baseball caps, talking on phones or walkie-talkies, and keeping an eye on her in the yoga temple and on the beach. It seemed like the teachers at the yoga temple were giving an excessive amount of attention to her also. But you got to remember that if somebody gets transported, that somebody can get paid like $1 million for ponying up the individual. It's high paid and worth much more than that profit-wise over the years. Disgusting. And then, we're not even talking about the crazy world of eugenics and fetus farms and crap like that. I'm just not even going to go there, because that's just too crazy. We can only handle all the crazy that we got, right? All full of crazy ain't buying no more. BT, I didn't know about the occult stuff. Absolutely. We used to put hair follicles under microfiche to observe it closer. LOL. Right. Now we have DNA and just run it through the freaking system. My parents had the whole set of encyclopedias. I was so lucky. Yeah, I had a set of encyclopedias not that long ago. It's really hard to get rid of them. Like the bookstores don't want them. You know, they take up a lot of real estate. Um, where was I? We have a wonderful library here in Pacific City, Oregon. I have a bit of a crush on David the librarian. Oh, you're so cute, Patricia. I know libraries are awesome. We've had a library trip and engage in scientific discoveries. LOL. I know, weird. I know. I used to take my kids to library reading groups not that long ago. I don't even know if they still do them. I hope they do. Anna, I could not see chat as a subscriber. It was hidden by my dock until I zoomed in. Oh, how weird. Glad you figured it out. Check out Jill. Is Jill a channel? Patricia Moss? The Barbie movie was great. I know. Again, it was one of those things that my kids took me to kicking and screaming. As I was like, I don't want to waste my time at that stupid movie. I loved it. I don't want to picture little T showing off his little D. LOL. I know. Like even in the South Park cartoon, that was kind of traumatic. You know, trigger warning if you haven't seen the South Park cartoon yet. And they've done the trailer for another one, so they're not backing down. Those rat bastards, gotta love them. Weird how T spoke about Arnie Palmer's Winky on the campaign trail in PA. Yikes! Right, again, another man crush. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to talk about this, but man, he went on and on and on. And, you know, to me, it was also like a real threat, like just threatening women with SA, basically. You know, because it was right around the same time that he said, I want to protect you whether you like it or not. Like, that was disgusting. That was despicable. And then talking about Palmer's junk, and then talking about how Weinstein got schlonged. I mean, my God, give it up. Oh, did I not mention yet, or did I mention at the very beginning that it looked like Ghislaine? I'm saying her name wrong. I always say Ghislaine. It's like Gillen. Anyway, I'll just keep saying it wrong. She doesn't deserve to have her name spoken right. That she maybe has been transferred out of the prison in Florida. Did I already say that at the very beginning? Today, just now? I don't even remember. This is why I have to review my videos, because it's very disturbing. It looked like Occupy Democrats had just dropped a video like 5 minutes before I watched it. It was right before I came on that I watched it. It was just like a 5-minute video. I'll put a link to it in the description. And it looked like she was already transferred from the Florida prison where she's been held in Tallahassee. It looks like there's already been a transfer. And yeah, that would be really despicable the day after Virginia Guffrey, I think I'm saying her name wrong too. I think it's Guffrey, almost like Guthrie, like Arlo Guthrie, but it's Guffrey with an F instead of the TH. Virginia Guffrey's brothers and sister-in-laws speaking out. That would be very in character of the Trumpstein fire fraudulent dear leader. That would be just like him, wouldn't it? Just like smack in the face to the family. That I thought were being very polite and non-offensive in how they spoke. That they weren't being derogatory towards any dear leader or anything. But, you know, if you do anything he doesn't like, it's off to El Salvador for you. Alligator Alcatraz for you. That was so weird. These people can't help themselves. Right. It's the poor impulse control that really gets them. Like they are their own worst enemies, especially dumpster fire. I'm going to plant all kinds of plants that attract hummingbirds. Oh, I know. They're so cool. I have like little hummingbird feeders, but I don't put them out because they get so gross with the sugar water. And yeah, having the flowers is just awesome. Fred is correct. Oh my goodness, BoobTube. Thank you for the link. Holy crap. Dare I go look at it right now while I'm on live? Let's just see. Let's just see. What does it say? Russian nuclear submarines movement today. Trump says he ordered nuclear submarines repositioned after threats from Medvedev. Yep, 21 minutes ago, New York Times. Trump moves nuclear submarines. Who's playing with World War III? Remember how many times that rat bastard threatened everybody? You're playing with World War III. If you vote for Kamala, you're playing with World War III. And Zelensky, if you don't lick my boot right now, you're playing with World War III. It's just like the man is obsessed with World War III, and he will blow up the world to try to distract us from his little e-files, his Trumpstein files. Nothing's working. So yeah, I guess we can expect that. Freaking tsunami didn't work. Floods in Texas didn't work. I mean, I laugh because those things might not be weather manipulation, but the more we learn that this has been quite possible. Quite possible. Wow. And the butterflies too. Yeah, let's talk more about hummingbirds and butterflies, puppies and rainbows, please. Coco, come here, baby. Come here, sweetheart. I should have treats in here too. Come here, baby boo-boo. Come here, girl. Coco, come here. Oh, she's going to stay down there. She's such a sweetheart. She just went to the vet yesterday and had a checkup, so she's all good still from her cancer recovery. So awesome. Okay, Patricia says that you have always said people that are naturally charming, that's how they get away with it. Exactly. But also people with personality disorders, like narcissistic personality disorders, are non-discriminate about gender. And both little e and little t abused boys, I think, just as much as girls. That's just not talked about as much. You know, unless you're looking at Michael Jeffries with the Abercrombie and Fitch. That was what that was talked about. Thank you for bringing that to us, Fred. Yeah. Again, mass distraction. Gilon, thank you, BoobTube. Yes, transferred to Texas, supposedly. Well, maybe they'll flutter out, right? Like, again, I think that it's very malicious, suspicious that it's the day after her brothers and their wives speak out. It's just him flexing his muscle. Showing his Arnie Palmer, basically, although his is probably a tenth the size as Arnie Palmer. No, you didn't say that Ghislaine was transferred. Oh, I didn't? I meant to like come out swinging with that. Sorry. I was just like spinning when I came on because it's just like, do I keep watching all this breaking news or do I get into my stuff that I really want to share with you, because I know that nobody else has caught that thing about freaking Natalie Halloway, Joran Vandersloot's attorney, Taco Tits, what is it? Tacopina? I think it's Tacopina. Joe Tacopina. I think that's his name. Tacopina. It's unbelievable. So he was Donnie's lawyer for the Stormy Daniels crap, for the E. Jean Carroll crap, and he fired Donnie as a client a year and a half ago. What does that tell you? This dirtbag that would fight for freaking Joran van der Sloot fires Donnie. So Donnie's grosser than Joran van der Sloot. Is that what that tells? That's what that tells me. In my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. This is why I'm just like spitting nails the last couple of days, not to mention with these freaking rubber bands in between my teeth. It really makes me feel like I'm spitting nails. He said WW2 once. Oh, did he? Because he forgot that we had that happen already? Or because that's what he's really fantasizing about, because he wants to be Adolf. Yeah. Oops. WW. Yeah. That's fine, Annabise. I know it's so hard not to have typos when you're commenting. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate your comments. We're already getting close to an hour and a half, so I'm almost caught up with you guys, and then I'm going to look at my notes. Excuse me. Coco. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. And she's in the bed that I made for her. So I have a cute little bed for her right there, but I'm going to get her an even better one. And then I'm going to have treats in here too. So I can like have her pop her little face up for you guys when I want her to. I hadn't thought about that, bringing dog treats in here, but it's funny because all three of the dogs already like to hang out in here enough without dog treats in here. They love me so much. I'm usually the one that feeds them. And I feed them like the top shelf dog food, the stuff that I used to think was ridiculous. I started feeding Coco that when she was about to get her cancer treatments, both to improve the quality of her life in the moment, but also to build her health for the long term. And then when we were feeding it to her, we had to feed it to all of them. And then we just feed it to all of them almost every meal. I mean, when we run out of the good stuff, we give them the dry kibble. So we always have backup, but we spend top dollar at Costco. They have really good, kind of like the farmer's dog in the tubes. And it's not even that gross to like cut it up and stuff. It's like fine. I mean, I get really grossed out by dog food easily, but not that. And then there's like little chunks that come in the refrigerator section, but they're kibble. That's what I like to feed them just because it's so easy. Just give them a half a cup of it twice a day. But we mix it up with that other stuff that you have to like dice up. And then we also have the kibble as backup all the time. They're just so spoiled. They eat better than the rest of us, right? Especially Mookie. She's like a little princess. She's like, could you put some Parmesan on it, please? Sprinkle it with some shredded chicken, if you don't mind. I'm not even kidding you. Like, she's just like, nah, I'm not going to eat. Not until you put some little pepperoni bits on there for me. I'll eat it if you put bacon on it. Promise. Let's see. South Park Trump. Coco, I knew what you meant, Anna. Yes, timing is everything. Right. So the timing with the earthquake, the timing with the floods, not just the Texas floods everywhere. Everywhere. It's just unreal. LOL taco tits. Yeah. Titty baby. That's my favorite. Is it nature or nurture personality wise? Oh, like with the personality disorders, it's kind of nurture at the early age, like before 2, like that's when you're hardwired. So personality disorders are almost impossible to treat. One of the reasons is because they typically don't have any motivation to change because they know how to manipulate the world and it works for them, and it's too hard to figure out how to get your needs met without manipulating. So that's all they know. And then they're usually drama queens and very indiscriminate about seducing people on some level. It's like all they know is like to either like get you in bed or to kill you. That's all they know. They don't have any other method of interacting with a human. So they will try to seduce you on some level, whether that's like actually get you in bed or just flirting and manipulating you. And then if that doesn't work, then they're going to drop a bomb on your head. So your choice. You can either get screwed or get screwed. Which do you pick? I just can't stand manipulating, controlling freaks. And that's what these people are. It's all they know. And they're so insincere because nothing matters to them except drama and attention. And me, I, me, my. So yeah, does that answer the question? It's pretty much from the lack of nurturing. It's if you psychoanalyze it, it goes back to the mistrust of a little baby getting their needs met from their primary caregiver. And so that's where the hardwiring comes from. So they're not born with it. It develops right out of the womb. Probably both. Yes. Probably, Patricia. So yeah, I would argue more it's just nurture, but that it's so hardwired that it is like it's nature. But if they had consistent caregiving when they first were born, it wouldn't be like that. And yeah, Freudian stuff, it's always to blame the mother. But with a lot of these disorders, it's actually the father too, believe it or not. I'm so glad Coco's doing good. I know, me too. I was really worried about her the other day. She had some pitch on her, and my husband used coconut oil to get it off of her fur. And she seriously was like catatonic and suicidal all night long. That was the night before last. So then we took her to the vet yesterday, and everything was fine. She just was afraid she was going to get a bath. So she was just like, if you put me in the bath, I will kill myself. Not to, joke around about mental health, but that's typical, like personality disordered people use that as a manipulative tactic too. It's pretty frightening. And you never know, they might do it, I mean, as much as narcissists don't typically self-harm, anything's possible, right? Especially sometimes people will set up a self-harming situation knowing that you're going to save them. But let's say that you come home at 5 every night and your manipulative partner has been threatening self-harm and they overdose at 4:55 knowing that you're going to come home at 5 and save them, but you get a flat tire and you were stuck in traffic, so you're 2 hours late. I mean, this is real life. That's often how those things go. A lot of times self-harm is carefully plotted out around a rescue, but then something unexpected happens and it doesn't work out. Like when you're Epstein. Last Friday and Saturday, we had a protest in my little PC city, Patricia Moss says. Swear to Proud Boy types made their presence all this week. Oh, I am so sorry, Patricia Moss. I know. Freedom of speech, right? Except not your speech, just theirs. All week after the protests, they will probably be here through the end. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Dear Donnie self-implodes too, speaking of that kind of thing. Or if he gets Epstein. I mean, because he's just tripping all over his own manhood. He is just falling flat on his face. He's really lost all control, hasn't he? Oh gosh, Patricia, be careful. So scary. Back in a bit, checking laundry in dryer. Are you laundering money again, Fred? We keep telling you not to do that, but you are in Chicago. So I guess it goes with the territory, right? And the fact that they want to control everything in their base is supposedly all about their rights. Yeah. Isn't it ironic how the base was like all anti-pedo and yet anti-transporting, and yet it's becoming abundantly clear that that's what Dear Leader is all about? Personally, honestly, it's what I always suspected, and I always thought it was ironic that that was the way it was. I was just like, don't they see that the person that they're saying is going to put an end to this is the person that's at the heart of the matter? A person that's at the heart of the matter. Anyway, let me look over my notes because we're at 90 minutes and I had a million things written down to talk about. Let's get back to wondering where the Trumpster fire was in business in '08. I mean, he's always been in real estate, and I think I looked it up. I think he was having a whole bunch of trouble with the Trump Tower and the financing it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I looked it up yesterday. Let me do it again and see what it says here. Can't even keep up with myself. What was Trump doing in business in '08? Yeah, I saw this. He says he called the '08 crash. Here's what really happened. And, he had recently gotten to the mortgage business with Trump Mortgage. Oh, interesting, huh? So this was written October 7th, 2016 by Michael Kruse, Kruse, senior staff writer for Politico. In September of '08, as markets tanked on Wall Street, the American financial crisis intensified and global economic panic spread. Trumpster fire took to television with a message for the American people, and the message was, "I told you so." Well, yeah, he probably saw it coming because he was helping egg it on. If you remember 2 years ago when I was on your show, Trumpster Fire said to Larry King on CNN, I predicted near depression on your show 2 years ago. He told Neil Cavuto on Fox News, I mentioned the word depression then. It wasn't true. What? He told lies? No way. In fact, in the years preceding the Great Recession, in interviews with journalists, in promotional materials for his own businesses, and in his customary slew of TV appearances, Trumpster Fire had said precisely the opposite, telling King, Cavuto, and others that, quote, the economy continues to be fairly robust, end quote. Also, quote, real estate is good all over, end quote. And another quote, the real estate market is going to be very strong for a long time to come, end quote. Two more. Quote, I've been hearing about this bubble for so many years, but I haven't seen it, end quote. No, he couldn't see it because he was creating it. He was making it happen. And, quote, this boom is going to continue, end quote. I'm just going to read a little bit more of this. Trump has premised his run for president on his self-proclaimed business genius, 5D chess, stable genius. Okay, his negotiating skill and his ability to succeed where others fail. Along the way, he bragged about how well he performs in bed. No, I threw that in there. He bragged about how well he performs in down markets. In last month's first debate, Hillary Clinton tried to tar him with his own boasts, charging that Trump rooted for the housing crisis so he could buy low and profit from what was a desperate and frightening time for so many people. Trump proudly owned up to the charge. That's called business, he shot back. Lovely, huh? He doesn't care who he hurts. Where were we? And the fact that they want to control everything in their base is supposedly all about their rights. I think that's where I left off, right? Exactly, Jazz. He is everything they are against. Well, and finally, some are realizing that. So, I have a lot of empathy for those that realize they've been tricked. And I think some of them realize that they've been tricked, but they're too embarrassed to say so. So they just hide out in that camp rather than admitting that they were fooled. I don't know. Trump mortgage, right? And then the Trump University, I think, was around the same time. When did that start? I think it was the same time. Let me see. When did Trump University start and stop? Oh, interesting. You guys are going to love this because '08 didn't just happen overnight. There was a good buildup. Its real estate training program ran from 2005 to 2010. It was owned and operated by the Trump Organization, a separate organization. Trump Institute was licensed by Trump University, but not owned by the Trump Organization. In 2011, amid multiple investigations, lawsuits, and student complaints, it ceased operations. And remember, Pam Bondi protected him through this. So she became the Attorney General for Florida in 2011. So I know that she had everything to do with protecting his pink rear end during that time. But I don't really know what exactly she was doing before the job as the Attorney General for Florida. But a lot of the little crapola was after the disgraceful sweetheart deal of 07-08. And there were a ton of little depositions that happened around 2014 in Florida when she was in charge. And then, so she was the Attorney General in Florida from 2011 until 2019. That biatch has committed so many crimes. She'll be going straight to prison with Dear Donnie. And the lying Barbie doll, Caroline with a K, more than one. I like Barbie doll liar. I think that's a good nickname for her. Although Bondi's that's a good nickname for her too. So we got two Barbie doll liars. And then I think I've shared with you guys that people in Alaska used to call Sarah Palin Caribou Barbie. I would say that Kristi Noem is a good Caribou Barbie too, right? Because they got the brown hair. They're the Veronica rather than the Betty, but they are still Barbies nonetheless. Blonde hair, brown hair, red hair, it don't matter. Anyway, where was I? So busted, Fred. Trump mortgage. There we are. Sure, Fred. Go do your laundry. Trish, I love it. Yeah, we called him out, didn't we? We're sending the goon squad over. But actually, they're too busy with, Trumpstein is keeping them all busy. Okay, so check this out, you guys. This is just like where all the crazy is. It was what, Monday? It was the 28th was the day that guy allegedly drove from Vegas to New York City and shot unalived 4 people. So he drove his Beamer from Vegas. We've all seen the footage of him walking into the building with his AR-15. He goes in there, he pew-pews 2 security guards that both just happened to be not white. One was from Barbados, the other was black. The black one was the one who was an off-duty NYPD officer in uniform. But so they both were working security. And then he, quote unquote, gets on the wrong elevator, goes up to the 33rd floor and unalives. I'm not sure if the woman who was the CEO of Blackwater was upstairs or down, but she had only been named CEO this past January of 2025. And then the other woman that he unalived was an employee of the business that owned and managed the building that all this was going on the 33rd floor. You know, they said he had a 3-page manifesto in his wallet and a self-interest note in his pocket. And that this was all because he played football in high school and he got bonked on the head. And so he was out to get the NFL people. The woman with the CEO for Blackwater, I have her name written down in my book. She had worked for Blackwater for 10 years until about from about 2014. So guess where she worked from 2004 to 2014? Just take one guess. Not Bear Stearns. How come I'm not coming up with it? Goldman Sachs. She worked at Goldman Sachs for 10 years, from 2004 to 2014. I have her name, and let me see if I can find it, because you know how I like to give names to reduce the confusion, but also, especially when they're victims, to give them, to honor them, really. And do I have it here? Where? Okay, so I think it's probably you, Billy Darling, that talks about, I know BoobTube also, that their ears perk right up for corruption when they hear philanthropic, am I saying it right? Philanthropy. There, I'll just say it that way. So charitable fronts, educational scholarships, and philanthropy are often how these dirtbags hide and how they launder. And that's exactly what little E did. So what was that woman's name? The CEO of Blackwater. CEO of Blackwater killed on the 28th. So why is it just telling me about huh? It's so funny. The information it's given me is insane. I can't even get into it because we're already like getting close to an hour and 45 minutes. So let's see. Let's try it again. Female CEO shot, deceased in New York City on the 28th of July, 2025. Oh, was I saying Blackwater? Blackstone, right? Man, that Blackwater thing. Woo. Yeah, her name is Wesley LePatner, 43-year-old Blackstone. So I'm glad I looked this up because I think I was saying Blackwater the whole time, wasn't I? Or did I say Blackstone earlier? Again, you got Black Cube, which is like CIA stuff. You got Blackwater, which it sounds like it's the same. And then you got Blackstone and BlackRock, which is all real estate investments, allegedly. What is up with these freaks, man? They're so despicable. Unbelievable. K-Mac is here. K-Mac always comes in towards the end. It's lovely to see you. Nice to see your waving hand. Hello back. Couldn't type fast enough, Anna B says. And for sure, Peter Thiel is big on philanthropy. Right. And running a charity is one of the best ways to launder I mean, I don't know. I haven't done it, but that's what I've heard. So it's a good thing that I haven't got involved in that type of thing, because when I was finishing graduate school, I actually thought that that's exactly what I would do, is write grants for a program to help women. You guys are going to love this. This is what I wanted to do coming out of graduate school, to help women escape the industry of what I call Rex, the X industry with an S. I wanted to write grants to help women escape that. So maybe I will do that someday. And knowing the things that I know, maybe I can keep it on the up and up, because it seems that a lot of these companies that are there to help are actually there to railroad. So that's how they get their talons into these people, is these people come to them desperate for help, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll help you, just trust me, right? Okay, I don't know if my brain can handle any more words and letters and sentences. As Annie would say, too much alphabet. It's too much. Yeah, it is. But I want to see what else I have in here, because so that shooter that drove from Vegas, and isn't that weird that there just happens to be a Carlos and Charlie's in Vegas? Carlos and Charlie's, for anybody who missed it, is the restaurant and bar, the last place where Natalie Halloway was seen, and it's where the people that worked on the cruise ship wanted to take Amy Bradley 27 years ago in Aruba, the same Carlos and Charlie's when Amy Bradley went missing 27 years ago. Okay, so this shooter drove from Vegas, and remember, Vegas is also where the Trump Tower had a Tesla got blowed up in front of it on the 1st of this year. But Reno, which BoobTube posted about the shooting the same day at the Grand Sierra Resort. So I did my little Google thing, and I took some screenshots, and I just got to share this with you because it's so crazy. I can't even. Okay. Are you ready? I just can't. On July 19th this year, there were 4 shootings that happened. 4. On July 20th, there were 3 shootings that happened. This is just in our country. And most of these, I think, actually have 0 or 1 people that passed away. On July 24th, there were 2. On July 26th, there were 3. On July 27th, there were 4. And on July 28th, there were 4. So one of those was in Vegas on July 28th, and that had 3 fatalities. And one was in New York at Blackstone and the NFL, and that had 4 fatalities. So there were 7 fatalities from open shooters on July 28th. I'm sorry, Nevada. I said Vegas. Scratch that. The guy drove from Vegas that did the New York one. The one on July 28th in Nevada was Reno at the Grand Sierra Resort. So, and then there were 2 on July 30th. This is a lot. Got to look into that, as Dear Leader would say. I should look into that. Yes. The cult knitting lady talks about AA being a cult. You know, Anna Bees, I've noticed that, and I love her. I do. I absolutely adore her. She's very different from anybody I've ever seen anywhere. And so I take her in smaller doses, just because I don't want to overdose myself on her crazy. Her crazy is a good crazy. So anybody who doesn't know the cult knitting lady, the knitting cult lady, I think is what she calls her channel. She's an expert on cults. I've talked about her quite a bit. And she grew up in a cult. She grew up in a Rex cult. And she says that every cult is a Rex cult. And I believe her since she knows her stuff. She's an expert. Anyway, so yeah, she talks about the 12-step program being a cult. And I haven't really caught on too much to what she says about that. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Anna Bees. Fred is laundering as we speak. I love it, Patricia. You're funny. So funny. I was a few minutes behind, sorry, but yes, philanthropic endeavors are always the tell for all corruption every time. Well, I know that charity, giving money away to charity is a really good tax haven. And so a lot of times people are donating money simply to be a tax cheat. And then, some of those places where they donate their money, they probably own, or they're in bed with the people that own them, right? Like, isn't that clever? Who would have ever figured that out? You'd have to be like a rocket scientist, right? I think many of these are guided by those who want to direct chaos in our country. That's all I'll say on that. I absolutely agree. And yeah, it's all like what I say about Get Smart. They're all chaos agents. I think that that's what a lot of these stabbing sprees and pew pew sprees, I think they're all chaos agents. The guy in Minnesota who took the lives of the senator and his wife, and then, or no, he tried to take the lives of the senator and his wife. They survived, but he took the lives of the representative and her husband. Chaos agents. I believe that a lot of them are going to tie right back to the Proud Boys types of things. It's horrible. And then I feel like there's a lot more chaos agents targeting first responders. I think that our dear leader is really jealous of anybody, especially guys, but anybody who is perceived as any kind of hero. And man, he keeps doing this pitch for being like getting a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, he is freaking crazy. I'm sure he'll give himself like 1,000 Nobel Peace Prizes, right? Just like how he wins like best person on the planet every year from whatever magazines he owns. He wins every freaking golf game that he cheats at because he owns the golf games. I mean, he is obsessed with getting a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, and he's the one behind all of the destruction. He loves the destruction. He loves the chaos. He loves the drama. He loves being in control. It's gross. It's absolutely gross. He's a convicted Rex offender and he needs to go to prison. It's about time. He needs to go to prison, simply get busted for the manipulation of our election system, in my opinion. But about a million other things if it can be proven in a court of law. But then he owns all the freaking judges and lawyers, and anybody who disagrees with him can go to Alligator Alcatraz, right? Shan turned you on to the cult lady? Really? I don't know about Shan knowing about the cult lady. I'll have to ask her. She's an interesting trip with all of her cult information. I love her. I absolutely love her. She's just like way, way, way extreme for anybody who hasn't seen her yet. She is a wild one. She is sharp as a tack. Okay, so let me see what else I got in here. Remember the firefighters, or no, the detectives that got blowed up in LA just like a week and a half ago? Again, here we are with another weekend looming over our heads. The weekends are when the really wild chaos happens, in my opinion. And then the NYPD cop that was lost his life in New York on the 28th with that shooter from Vegas. Why is Vegas always coming up? I have a theory about that. You know, who started Vegas? Who started Reno? Who started Atlantic City? Who started Chicago? That's why I think Vegas is always coming up. And I think that places like Carlos and Charlie's, that they have a lot of gambling going on at those places too. And then they have a lot of laundering, because you have to, if you've got illegal things going on, you have to launder. And restaurants and bars are a great way to launder. Any kind of business where people are paying with cash, because it's like, well, did you make $20 in cash, or did you make $20 million in cash? You can say whatever you want. If it's credit card payments, you have to go with what you have receipts for. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to mention Donnie flirting with the dudes. There was like this tall, handsome guy that just got appointed to something, and he's already like trying to like get him in bed. A younger guy. I don't even know the guy's name. But let's see what else I got as we try to wrap up. I must have missed that live, Patricia. Yeah, and I wonder if you might be crossing your wires with me telling you about it previously, Annabees, because yeah, I haven't known that. But that would be pretty cool if Shan was on to her also. That would be awesome. So the final batch of the e-files dropped January of 2024. And that was when the Tacopina, Joe Tacopina, fired Trumpster Fire as his client and said no more. And then Nadia Marchenko has been missing ever since. So I'm glad that I read that. Nadia Marchenko, I'm probably not saying her name right, she's one of a handful of people that were a lot like Ms. Maxwell. So Adriana Ross and I think Leslie Graff and Sarah Kellen. These are all Sarah Kellen's husband just left her a few months ago. So she married a NASCAR dude. And all of them tried to say that they were victims of Little E, but they were all assistants of Little E, and some of them prior to, during, or after Maxwell. Allegedly. So again, Adriana Ross, Leslie Graff, Nadia Markinkov, Sarah Kellen. Was there anybody else? And then Ron Eppinger, or sometimes his name goes by Ron Ebbinger, but it's Eppinger, Eppinger. He also had a modeling agency in the 90s, I think, called A Perfect 10. And he was the first person to transport Virginia when she was 14. She was held captive by him for about 6 months and transported. So Carlos Anderson is the guy from Carlos and Charlie's Restaurant and Grill, who died in a plane crash in 90? Let me see. Trying to wrap up because we're like already at 2 hours and it just gets so long. I think thanks you guys for sticking it out with me. Let's see. Carlos Anderson died in a plane crash. Founder of the restaurants. Yep, it was 1990. I was thinking it was later. That's very meaningful to me that it was 1990, because that was the same year. Oh, it was a year before the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City filed bankruptcy, but it was a year after the 3 VPs died in a helicopter crash. And I just think that that's really interesting. He was 55 years old. Grupo Anderson was the name of his company. He ran 55 restaurants. Holy crap. Wait a second. I knew it was a chain. Oh, it's trying to make me get a subscription. I hate that. Let's see if I can look at that again. 55 restaurants. Nope, it's not going to let me look at it. I'm wondering if it's like 55 different countries. Carlos Anderson, 55 restaurants. I knew it was a chain. I did not know it was 55 of them. But Aruba and Vegas, I know for sure. Let's just see what else I got in here. It's just too much, isn't it? Like, how do I keep up with me brain? Thanks, you guys, for grounding me. Let's see. She did a whole thing on her one night. Oh, Patricia, thank you. Didn't not spell Shan correctly, you know, the one y'all miss. Right. I saw she went live a few days ago, actually. I think. I don't know if it's still up or not. Anna Bees says, Jazz told me about the cult lady. Shan did a whole thing on her one night. How recent? Oh, I got to check that out. I must have missed that live, Patricia. It was so good. Shan went through all the hand signals on the podium that the cult did. It's possible it was another knowledgeable lady that had huge inside information on the cult. Oh, yeah, it sounds like it is a different one, actually, Patricia. I don't think we were talking about the same thing, Annabee says. I was talking about the channel, The Knitting Cult Lady. Yeah, that's the name of the channel. Sometimes I get the words jumbled, but you nailed it, Annabee's The Knitting Cult Lady. She's so good. So good. And she just knits and talks, and she's just like bizarrely genius, in my opinion. Like, she's like a wizard, an absolute wizard, and very, very positive. She was raised in a cult and is an expert in cults. Yeah, just thought it was the same person. Okay, gotcha, Patricia. Thank you. She's always knitting while talking about the current regime. Yeah, actually, I was going to send her a bunch of the jewelry findings that I don't use, because she sometimes puts out a word for that in her videos and is like, anybody who wants to send me stuff, I will take it. And I'm always trying to, you know, reduce the number of projects that I'm planning on doing, because it's just too much. It's too much. What am I wearing? I'm wearing earrings, I think, that I made. No, I did not make these. Did I make any of these necklaces? I made one of them, and then I had 3 on, and one of them fell off, and I don't know where it went. I'll find it. Anyway. Not to be distracted, like I get. So this Nadia Marcinko allegedly was sold to the little E when she was 15 years old. It made me wonder if Smolania might have been sold to the little T. And now, all of a sudden, some records are surfacing that maybe Smolania was younger than legal age when she first met Dear Leader. Weird, huh? So let me read a couple of statistics real quick that I noted here. In 1948, the USSR had a 7.3 Richter scale reading earthquake, and over 100,000 perished. In 1960 and in 2010, Chile had 2 earthquakes that registered as 9.5 on the Richter scale. And I think like 500,000 might have passed away. Alaska in 1964 had an earthquake that registered 9.2 on the Richter scale. And I think only like 180 people died in that Alaska earthquake. But that's because there's hardly any people in Alaska. So there was a 9.1 Richter scale in Japan in 2011, and 20,000 people passed away. So I'm not saying that it necessarily means anything that Joran van der Sloot had the exact same attorney that the dear leader had. I'm just wondering, does it mean anything? And again, to reiterate, why would a Norwegian national, or I think he was a Dutch national, sorry. Why would a Dutch national on a Dutch island have an American attorney? Maybe because the kidnapped victim was American. But even if she perished that night, she was still kidnapped. Don't let them fool you with their stupid wordplay. Okay, so let me look more notes. I need to get rid of so many craft stuff. Send it to the knitting cult lady, Annabees. She would love it. Shan did this a long time ago. Thank you, Patricia. Guess I have wrong person. That's all right. It'd be interesting to check it out. So yeah, Taylor Casey, I want to talk more about her. We just passed the 1-year anniversary. That trans woman from Chicago who flew down to the Bahamas to do her yoga teacher training and then has probably not been seen since. Hopefully she's still alive. Hopefully Amy Bradley is still alive. Wouldn't that be amazing if Natalie Halloway was still alive? Natalie Halloway's mother did have her declared legally deceased, I want to say around 2010 or 2011, I think, as did Amy Bradley's family. And I understand some of why families have to do that for legal purposes. Obviously, it's not because they're giving up hope. It's because they have to for legal purposes. Okay, so Trumpster Fire said again a couple of days ago when he was talking about all of his phony, fake deals, tariff deals, he said that there's hundreds of countries to make these tariff deals with. Do you know that there's less than 200 countries in our world? I didn't know this. And obviously the president doesn't know it, but he should have known it when he made those mistakes a few months ago. And now he's making those same mistakes again. He's doing hundreds of tariff deals with hundreds of countries, despite the fact that there's under 200 countries in our planet. So I guess these other countries are in other galaxies. I don't know. I mean, the man's so brilliant, probably, right? Okay, this is a wild one, and maybe I'll end on this wild one since we're well over 2 hours. Remember when I used to say that little E was wearing X on his shoulders to protect his head from pew-pews and assassination? It never occurred to me that the threat was coming from inside the building. In other words, Trumpster Fire. That's all I'm going to say about that, and then I'm going to wrap up. I'm sure there's more things in my notes, though. Let me see what else you're saying. He's such an idiot. Yes, I remember. So yeah, I mean, maybe he was worried that dear leader was hiring somebody to take him down. But yeah, who on earth would wear their tiny child if they're afraid that somebody might be out to hurt them? Who would use their freaking child as protection? It is exhausting to chase down a gaslighter. I have that in my notes, so I'm going to reiterate that again. It's insane, isn't it? Okay. Mid 2000s, Virginia Giuffre was 16. What was I meaning by that? So Virginia Giuffre was born, and sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, Giuffre. Virginia Giuffre was born in 83 on my 16th birthday. And meaning it was 1999 when she was hired at Mar-a-Lago, which has brought about great debate these last 48 hours ever since Donnie accused little E of stealing his girls. My head's going to explode. So that was around 99. Well, she turned 16 in 99. It was actually the year that she was hired. I think at Mar-a-Lago was 2000 to be specific, but it was a couple of months before her birthday. I don't know that she worked there for a week or longer. Yesterday, I think Hal Sparks was saying that she had been paid $1,800 for the work that she did there. And being that she was 16 years old and she was a towel girl, maybe that was what she was paid in a week, but I would think that that would be more like what she'd be paid in a month. So she was employed there very briefly when Maxwell spotted her and offered her $200 an hour to come get abused by herself and her, what she thought of as her boyfriend. Let me just end with talking about the pathology of Maxwell, since she's probably freed by now, right? Her and Diddy, they can go run off and live at Mar-a-Lago with the Tate brothers and live happily ever after. Why does dear leader keep protecting all of these transporters? Maxwell is seriously pathological. And she uses her kind of her femininity and her mothering and her sisterly vibe to manipulate these young girls that need that and yearn for that type of approval and support. And then she is just like a snake and traps them and is venomous. And then she allows these other snakes with their venom to get at them. She is heartless and soulless and without remorse, and she's never apologized to anybody for anything. The only thing I think she's sorry for is that she wasn't able to get Jeffrey to marry her. That was all that crazy lunatic wanted. She didn't care that he was screwing girls, kids. She didn't care. She was obsessed with him and she wanted him to marry her. And that was her goal. That was why she did all this stuff. That was why she did everything she did, was hoping that this rich guy with super deep pockets would legitimize her as his domestic partner, significant other. She's a sick freak, man. She deserves way more than 20 years. I agree with people who believe that she got a very light sentence for what she did. And now Donnie, just the idea of pardoning her or commuting her sentence. Again, nothing's going to save his sorry butt. He can do whatever he wants. Everything he does is going to backfire. So good luck with that, Donnie boy. And we will wrap up. I wonder what Big E is up to. I know. I keep wondering that too. Okay. He's an idiot. Yeah, I remember. Oh, I get it. Jazz, Faya, we are all spinning. I know. I wonder what Big E is up to. Like, I love that he's like in hiding because I feel like it's the calm before the storm. I mean, he might be blowing up rockets and making earthquakes happen in Russia for all we know. I did look up the location of SpaceX. You guys look it up on the map. It is wild where it's located. It's like right on the border of Texas and Mexico and the ocean. It's wild. Texas, Mexico, and the border. It's like the most southern tip of the continental United States of America you could possibly be. Like, I knew it was around there somewhere, but I didn't know exactly. And I was looking at it in relation to like Kerr County and the floods and all that. Anna B says, good question. She's like a spider. You are so correct, Jazz. Well, I appreciate your support and your ideas, your input. Love and light to everyone and all. Have a really good weekend. I don't know if I'll be able to make a video this weekend. Definitely not tomorrow, maybe Sunday. You know how hard it is for me to skip 2 days in a row. But I might have to. I can't remember what I've got on the docket for the weekend. Anyway, I'll probably have to make a video on Sunday no matter what I've got on the docket, right? Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day. Love and light. Drink your water. Eat your protein and your veggies. And just chillax. Thanks a million, you guys. Sending you love.